Hi everyone, this is Let's Discuss a Paper Soon After Reading It. And in this journal club, we selected and started reading a paper 2 hours ago, and we are going to discuss the paper now. Today we have two people. Chan Sheng, can you introduce yourself first?
Hello, everyone. My name is Qian Chen, and I'm currently a PhD student at the Tsinghua Lab, Monash University, Australia.
Thank you, Chen Shen. And me, Yota Kawashima, I am research assistant in Japan. And today we are going to discuss a paper titled Neural Mechanisms Underlying the Hierarchical Construction of Perceived Aesthetic Value, published or by Igaya et al. 2022 from Nature Communications. Before starting discussion, I will first give you a quick summary of this paper. This paper basically tried to answer how do humans judge something as beautiful, that is aesthetic judgments. And some studies, previous studies, focus on which brain regions activate when people feel aesthetic value. I mean the beauty. And some studies suggest that medial prefrontal cortex activated when they or people feel beauty. Yet, it's still unclear how does the brain compute such value. Previously, the authors proposed a computational model to explain that. This is hierarchical computational models. Basically, the brain decomposes the image into low-level feature first, and then um, generate or extract high-level features, and then combine these features to make decision or to create aesthetic value. And that is the framework of this computational model. And they, in the previous study, they showed that this model can predict human rating of beauty by or based on the painting's image, art image, visual image. Yet, the previous study did not investigate the biological mechanism or biological plausibility. So in this study, the authors test whether their computational model is biologically plausible or not by recording fMRI data. And what they did is basically present paintings to participants and ask them to rate how much they like the paintings, the image. And then first, the study replicated the previous result from the computational model. So when they test whether it's possible to predict the participant human rating based on images, and then they could replicate the results. And in addition, as the main purpose of this paper, they test whether or which brain region encode each feature, high level, low level features, and also aesthetic values. And they found that these informations are encoded in a hierarchical manner as they expected. So the primary visual area encode the low level features, and then as the hierarchy goes up, the brain tends to encode a more higher level of image and also visual features, not only visual features, but also emotional features of image. And then these are kind of weighted and combined to create the aesthetic value in medial prefrontal cortex. And also they that is about the computational model they proposed previously, but they also try to test whether deep convolutional neural network can have similar structure or not. And then they found that yes, the deep convolutional neural network can, or by just training the deep learning model, we can see that hierarchical organization to make aesthetic judgments. And that is my summary. Chanshen, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. It's pretty similar to what I will summarize from this paper.
Okay, good. So now let's start discussion. And I heard you have a lot of questions, comment on this paper, so you can go first.
Okay, so I'll start with something relatively minor. I think the first question I have is whether the low level and high level features are independent from each other. Because I got very confused when I was reading the paper. Early on in their paper, they suggest that high level features emerge from low level features,
Mhm.
and which seem to suggest that high-level features to some degree are associated with the low-level features. But in their analysis, these like high-level, low-level features seem to be treated as independent from each other. For example, when they were looking at how these features can be integrated together to predict aesthetic values, they have combination of not only low level with low level, high level with high level, they also have low level with high level kind of combination. And also when they were looking at feature representation in the higher level regions along the stream or something, they saw that they found that the parietal cortices and in the parietal cortices and the prefrontal cortices, there's no hierarchy. They're just low level and high level visual features are together represented in these cortices. And then they say, oh, this suggests an integration of these features. And I was like very confused because I thought low-level features are integrated to produce high-level features, right? Instead of like low-level features can be combined with high-level features.
I see. So, okay. So as to your first question, whether the high-level features is completely independent to the low-level features, and I don't think so. So I guess they are, correlated. As they, illustrated in the figures, some figures, let's say figure 6, in order to get high-level features, first, or that variable is linear combination of low-level features, meaning that just considering several low-level features to have higher level features. So they are, I think, correlated, not completely independent. But at the same time, I agree with your second, comments or concern, because yeah, in their paper they says that some, I forgot which area, but the posterior parietal cortex and lateral prefrontal cortex encode both low level and high level, and then combine them to generate or something, generate aesthetic value in medial prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, so page 7.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, and also when they're looking at the combinations of features and the
mm,
predictive power on the aesthetic values,
mm.
when you pair low level and high level features together, they themselves are correlated, right? So how do you separate the variance inherent in these features and their interaction in terms of producing their predictive power against the
Mm.
aesthetic is my question here.
Yeah, okay. So I share your confusion, and I don't know, or maybe somewhere in this paper, or maybe supplementary material, they explain what they mean by that, but I just don't know how, you know, this is whether this is important for their computational model or not. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
I guess another question I have is these kind of aesthetic values or aesthetic enjoyment, attached to visual stimuli, an inherent part of subjective experience.
Mm.
Like whether, well, I'm sure at least from introspection, the subjective experience of the same painting, let's say, from when you don't enjoy it versus when you later learn how to appreciate it and enjoy it, the subjective experience should be different. And if it is a inherent part of experience, we may be able to observe the neural mechanism of aesthetic values at work in a no report paradigm. When you don't ask them to give the values, they will still
Mm.
make judgment. Oh, well, that's like the brain will still compute this kind of aesthetic values that fits into your experience and fits into the quality of your experience.
Mm. I see. Uh, no report paradigm.
But it's hard to, I guess I also realize that it's hard to see whether this mechanism is at work when you don't ask for them to give ratings
Um,
based on their current analysis method anyway.
mm. I don't know, but maybe we can infer based on participant facial expression.
Mm,
Maybe. Mm.
yeah, so the other day I encountered a paper suggesting changing music taste for a person
Mm.
is equivalent to having some, how do I say this, fundamental change to their self-identity.
Okay.
In the sense, like, if you have changed to, if your aesthetics change, your self-identity change, and when you approach the same piece of artwork,
Mm.
your kind of relation to it would also change.
Mm.
It may also have some kind of prominent change to your subjective quality of the experience.
I see. Mm. I see. Okay. Oh, now I kind of understand why, you pick this paper because, you play music, right? Piano.
Yeah.
And then you like this, art kind of neural, I don't know how the proper term, but the neuroscience and the art. Neuroaesthetics or something?
This is actually my first time like properly reading a neuroaesthetic paper. Just
Ah,
just like what they suggest in the intro. Like previously, it's just like, oh, let's see what kind of regions are correlated with like the sense of beauty. And I found like, the sense of beauty is very abstract and it's hard to capture in, it's hard to say it's the same across individuals, and it's just like brain correlations, and I just didn't pay too much attention to it. But this seems pretty interesting, so I want to look into it.
I see. I see. I am not it seems like, this framework can work for other modality, not only vision, but also audition, like music.
Yeah, and maybe music is even easier. Oh, I'm not sure about that, but it's possible that it's easier to find the features, right? Because I vaguely know that music psychology has been very good at deconstructing all the different components of the music, like the harmony, like the melody, and then like the rhythm, and so on and so forth, and then all the stuff coming from musical theories that I'm not very familiar with, and how each independent component can influence your cognition of it. So I can imagine auditory stimuli fits with this framework very easily.
And I guess according to this paper result, we can predict as the medial prefrontal cortex encode beauty, regardless of modality, we should find the activation in that area, I think.
Yeah.
But beauty, difficult. Because, for me, when I listen to some music, I don't feel, oh, it's beautiful. It's like just, a fun or not fun, but just, beauty.
Yeah, I get you. I get what you're saying. I guess music appreciation sometimes is about whether you sync with the rhythm of the music, and also you like the melody or something like that. And that kind of appreciation is different from your appreciation to visual stimuli. And in the end, whether you can say they're the same thing, even if it's the same umbrella term, aesthetic.
Yeah, but I think what they asked the participant was just how much they like the images. So maybe just a preference.
Yeah. So it doesn't go to a level of like, oh, beauty. Maybe.
Because, I forgot where they mentioned it, but they use images from some specific art style, like realism or abstract art or something. And I just don't know any, or I just don't have any knowledge about, these art paintings. And in this paper, there are some example pictures or paintings listed, and I don't feel, they are beautiful. Yeah. I feel it's paint. Yeah, I understand this is painting as some specific style painting, but again, as I don't have any, background knowledge of these, painting, I feel like just paintings.
They're just not pretty. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. But I can say, whether I like this painting or not. So it's just like preference, I guess.
Yeah. I only understand like the first two categories, like abstract art and impressionism. I know those two, but color fuse and cubism, I don't know what they are.
I think they provided a link to images they used in experiments, so we can see what kind of images they included later. But is preference is the same as beauty?
Well,
I
that would actually prefer beautiful things.
It's difficult. The definition of beauty is difficult.
Yeah, I agree. So, one of the pictures is just a rooster,
Uh,
chicken.
uh,
Oh,
yeah. And as you said, different person or different people have different sense of beauty. So it's difficult. It's difficult to define what's beauty is. Yeah. In that sense, they did not average the data across participants. They, analyze the data per participant. So that makes sense.
yeah.
But
And also they limit the number of participants to 6, but brutally test them on 1,000 trials. So,
yeah.
At least they can have these participants to stick to their own ideal of beauty and analyze.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually have a question. So their model, um, for how features predict the overall aesthetic values is that first you break down a visual stimuli by all these different kind of visual features like the color, the blurriness kind of thing. So you decompose them to many features, and then you assign a value to each of these features, and then based on this person's particular taste, you assign different weightings to these feature values, and the overall aesthetic values are the sum of the weighted feature values, right?
Yes. Yep. That's my understanding.
Are the weights always positive?
Uh,
I guess this is a little bit out of context. I think that the reason why I have this question is how does the current framework differentiate between, let's say you have two paintings, and how does the current framework differentiate between people who hate both paintings and those who like both paintings? In a sense, both people do not have a relatively higher preference on either of the paintings. So imagine you have two paintings, and they all of their other visual feature values are similar, except for like one. Let's say the abstract and concrete. So one is abstract, the other one is concrete, and you would predict that for painting number one, its value on this scale would be towards the abstract side, and then the other painting has the value over the concrete side. And if you have two people, person one dislike both paintings, and then person two likes both paintings. In this case, you would say that the reason why they don't have a particular preference over the two paintings is because they did not assign a heavy weight to the concrete versus abstract feature, right? But then their preference are actually different, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, how do you differentiate these two kinds of people?
I I guess that's something we can investigate based on or after having this model first. So in this paper, they just want to test whether their computational frameworks works or not, and then they confirmed that this seems to work. So that we can dig into the weights and then the subject differences, and then some people may weight more on specific features. On the other hand, the others not. And based on, at this point, we have weight for each features. So we can predict or make prediction what will happen when we, present a specific image. So guess that kind of, study will, answer your questions and maybe. Mm. Maybe. I don't know.
They also pose some similarly interesting questions, including the future directions, including it would be interesting to look at how this kind of pace would evolve over development, or as people develop expertise in appreciating more things, in a sense, just looking at the color to you start to appreciate like more abstract level of a painting or something like that. It would be interesting to see how these weights change.
I see. I have kind of similar comment or question. This computational framework seems to, varied in other animals, not only human, because this is just a hierarchical model, and this hierarchy seems to, preserve across species. So maybe, I don't know, other animals may have the sense of beauty as human, or if we don't have, I don't know.
It's hard to know when they give ratings. There's some sort of ratings, whether they're really rating their aesthetic experience is the problem if you test it on animals.
Yeah. I understand that's difficult, but just looking at this computational model seems plausible that other animals have sense of beauty. So I just wondered.
Maybe their sense of beauty is like evolutionary, based. You know how like in some animals, let's say like peacocks, like the male peacocks, the more pretty, colorful ones tend to win in the mating process or something like that, right? Maybe their sense of beauty are based on these kind of survival based or like evolution based criteria.
Yeah. I guess the same principle work for human development or principle, or you mentioned the development, and each individual grow up in different environment, and then they weight or different feature differently. So I feel some commonality between this kind of human development and evolution.
True.
So I just wonder whether other animals feel, oh, this is beauty, so beautiful, so I just want to keep it or something like that.
I feel like, do I remember correctly or not? Like, are there like some animals they will collect like pretty stones. But I don't remember what animal it was. I remember it should be some kind of fluffy animal, but I don't remember like exactly. But I do remember they like to collect pretty stones. Ah, crowds. They collect shiny stones. I think.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, so they have heavy weight for, I don't know, the shiny feature.
Yeah.
Uh,
And also among cats, I know that like okay, so this is definitely not, from a scientific source, but apparently I read on social media that white feral cats are bullied most because they are considered, you know, ugly equivalent, to human,
oh,
in the cat community. Whereas the cats with like three colors that are, mostly females,
mhm.
the three color cats, they are considered the prettiest. Something
Mm,
like
I see. Yeah, again, I guess we can use this computational model, whether that's true or not.
that. Yeah.
Mm. And anyway, so do you have any other comments, questions?
No.
Okay, so let's finish our discussion now and see you next week. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.